Now, the Western Cape government has confirmed that some roads have now been reopened in Cape Town amid the violent taxi strike there. The province's Community Safety and Police Oversight MEC, Reagan says Golden Arrow and MyCiti buses have also resumed operation at a reduced capacity. Yesterday, the Western Cape High Court granted Golden Arrow an interim interdict to resume services. Talks between the government and SANTACO collapsed at the weekend. Today, at least 1,500 police officers, we're told, have been deployed across the city.
We can confirm that most roads are open, the N1, the N2, the N7. We can also confirm that Golden Arrow is operating at a reduced capacity. MyCiti is solidly operating across the city of Cape Town as well. We are monitoring a number of hotspot areas. In Kraaifontein today, also in Mfuleni. But I've just received information with regards to outside of the city of Cape Town as well. We have a deployment of over 1,500 law enforcement officers, including the South African Police Service, because we are wanting to create stability.
Right, let's give you a live update, get you a sense of the situation on the ground. Bring in once again my co-anchor, Michelle Craig, who's in Pinelands for us this morning. And Michelle, I wonder from your vantage point whether you're able to tell if indeed it is a much smoother day than it was yesterday, even though the end of the strike is nowhere near sight.
Ayanda, good morning. I'm away for 2 days and you forget my name. Great to talk to you and to see our viewers again on this Tuesday edition of the AM Report. Yeah, we continue our coverage of the taxi strike here in Cape Town this morning, and we've been doing a bit of driving from the CBD, where we were based at 6 and 7 o'clock this morning, sort of going towards sort of the airport part of town, midway to that part of Cape Town. And I can tell you that traffic is incredibly free-flowing on the way to the CBD, and that, as we know, is unusual at this time of the morning. On that CBD approach part of the N2, we were there at around 7:45 this morning, and as I say, it was still incredibly free-flowing for whatever the reasons might be. We know Golden Arrow bus services operating at 50% capacity today, and as we know, the minibus taxi strike is still continuing, so that might give us a sense of why the roads are so clear. But this morning, we want to continue bringing you some very important context about the historical issues that play into what is now playing out in the Western Cape, across the province, in fact, insofar as this taxi stay away is concerned. I'm going to bring in our next guest. Professor Marianne van der Scheren is in the Centre for Transport Studies at UCT. Prof, it's great to talk to you. Thanks very much for joining us this morning.
Good morning, and good morning to the viewers.
I want to begin with the historical context that you and I were talking about off camera this morning. You know, where taxis fit into this ecosystem of public transport in our country.
So what we need to remember in the Cape Town setting is that rail was the backbone of transport. There were more than 1 million trips per day on rail. They now have moved to mostly minibus taxis, a little bit to buses. But if I talk about, for example, the Central Line, in its prime days, it had 8 trains a day. Yeah. Sorry, 8 trains an hour, 2,000 people per train. Every train will lead to more than 100 extra taxis on the road, overloaded taxis. If it's not overloaded, it's 125 extra taxis on the road. Now, every freeway lane has a capacity of 2,000 vehicles. That means that there's hardly any space for anybody else if you put those 16,000 passengers of the Central Line onto the road. Yeah. And that's where the problem comes in. I think it's really important that where the demand is high, we have systems like trains. When the demand is a little bit lower, we need buses. And to feed that system, we need minibus taxis. And I think the whole system would operate much better if we can change the system into high demand, high volume transport, a little bit less, things like buses, and then and we have seen around the world there are these discussions on the BRT type of systems like MyCiti that can do as much as rail. That's only proven at a 3-kilometer distance in one country in the world. So theoretically, the bus system cannot carry as much as a rail system. Minibus taxis can't carry as much as a as a bus system. But there is a piece of the pie for everybody. They should be in the right position, demand-wise, and given that population is growing, the pie of demand is growing.
Yeah, I mean, despite everything that you've said, you know, in an ideal setting, our rail should be up and running, right? We shouldn't have thousands of overloaded minibus taxis on the road to make up for the fact that our rail is not up to scratch.
Absolutely, and it's the arson that we have seen a few years ago is obviously very problematic. There has been an attack on the rail, not only passenger rail but also freight rail. I was prepping for a presentation in 2022, and I read an article that 200 kilometers of freight rail was lifted off its sleeper in 1 month alone, the month of November 2021. So there are also international syndicates. It's not even only the South African society, but international syndicates that are attacking our rail systems. And we need to find a way. And I think even the taxis can help there. If they're the feeders to the rail, then they will also help to protect the rail system. I really would hope that we can come back to the table and that we can find a way where every system is providing for our people, and that we provide the best service we can for our people. Yeah. One heartbreaking story that I heard yesterday from a domestic worker is that she used to buy a train ticket for 150 Rand a month, a monthly ticket. Now she spends almost 50 Rand a day to get to work. Yeah. I mean, we are stealing from poor people, and we need to actually grow the society. You know, we're coming out of COVID.
Yeah, absolutely. We're still recovering from COVID in so many ways. Prof, I just want your parting shot on the seemingly antagonistic relationship between taxis and between the provincial government, apparently. Taxis, for their part, feel that they are not treated as an essential service, which they feel they are, and which they are. You know, the bulk of poor people depend on taxis in the wake of the fact that we don't have rail to get to and from work and school. You know, how does that impact, surely, negotiations?
So, to me, you're absolutely right. Taxis are essential to our services. We have had this idea that we can do without them, and research has proven that we can't. So they are essential to the South African and African transport system. I think what I would like to see is that there are issues around taxis as well. We know that there are road safety issues. We know that there are personal security issues. And I have tried to engage with the taxi industry before, say, why don't you become the poster boy or girl of the industry? They can be cleaner, safer, drive better, etc., etc. So I do think that, yes, they're essential, we can't do without them, but I also think they could change what they're doing, and small changes will go a long way in actually getting more faith when we are negotiating, I'm sure. Yeah.
Prof, let me thank you for your time this morning. Professor Marianne van der Scheren is in the Center for Transport Studies at UCT, Ayanda, giving us some important context around the numbers insofar as public transport in our country is concerned.
Michelle Craig, live to us there from Highlands in the Western Cape. For now, Michelle, thanks very much indeed. It's a story without a doubt. We'll keep watching for you as it continues to unfold this Tuesday.